Hey everyone, welcome to weekday coronavirus-driven mind stuff. My name is George Ortega, and it is Sunday, June 14th, 2020. It is 5:32 p.m. Eastern Time, and this is episode number 46. I'd intended to have a guest, perhaps a new co-host on, but something went wrong. I haven't heard from him, but hopefully that will, maybe we'll record tomorrow, whatever. But anyway, so I hope you're having a good day. Let's see. So yeah, I mean, I thought, what I would do today is instead of going through the New York Times headlines, to call headlines from different papers, different news organizations to give a better perspective of what's been being featured by each of the organizations. Let's see if I want to start off with anything else before that. No, I'm feeling good. I hope you're feeling good. All right, so let's start with the headlines. CNN, DA criticizes Atlanta police killing of Rayshard Brooks and says charges could come this week. Yeah, enough is enough. I mean, pressure needs to be put on politicians, on the media organizations, on these governments, these police departments. Obviously, and people say, well, this is not systemic. It's not institutional. Yes, it absolutely is. In other words, if this thing is happening over and over and over across municipality, it's just it is institutional in the sense that, obviously there aren't guidelines, there aren't, kinds of rules that the police have to abide by that would prevent this stuff. Because if there were such rules and better training, perhaps, these things wouldn't happen. They're not just coincidental. They're not out of the ordinary, So to the extent that these are so common and so really threatening to what we value, that a person can walk out into the street without being harassed by police, because to a certain extent, much of it is harassment, if you're a young black kid. So yeah, well, let's see what happens. All right. Bloomberg, Florida COVID-19 cases rise 3.6, biggest one-day jump. Yeah, well, I mean, the epidemiologists have been saying, you can't open restaurants yet. You need masks. You can't congregate at beaches yet and stuff like that. And some states, Republican states generally, have been ignoring this. And so I hope their citizens, their voters there come November, hold these politicians, these governors accountable for endangering their lives, for killing a lot of them, really. So to increase Trump's chances of getting reelected? No, that's, I'm sorry. Our economy is important, but so are people's lives. And interesting, I'm reading a book it was just published by MIT Press. It's a new series that they're starting with. Apparently they're releasing these books in digital format, so I downloaded it to my Kindle, and it's a short read. It's not a long book, apparently. And so this book is about what to expect over the next couple of years or so. And I have, I'm not done with it. It's like going over the idea that well, you can have a lot of health and the economy will suffer, but you can't have a lot of health, just basically there's a trade-off between the economy and people's health, and you can't avoid that, and that's what Trump and the Republicans have been trying to do. They're in denial of reality, whether it's climate change, what's happening now, they're so far in the past. All right, New York Post, rag journalism. They're like New York Post and Daily News. They're horrible. They're like Republican. They're like Fox News. What can I say? Cuomo threatens Manhattan happenings shut down over lack of social distancing. Yes, I mean, I think sometimes the rich believe they can get away with stuff that, you know, just because they're rich. No, sorry, the Hamptons are like the playground for the rich. And you gotta be careful. You can't, you know, you don't have any, your money doesn't protect you from this, you know, if you think it does. Okay, deadline. Melania Trump versus Ivanka Trump power struggle detailed in WAPO book, Washington Post book excerpt. Yeah, I mean, like, who cares? I mean, like, the thing people have to remember about Melania Trump is when she boarded that airline en route to visit children of asylum seekers in Texas. You know, they were like, they had been separated from their parents, that they're being kept there, you know, away from their parents. And Melania Trump, you know, boards this airline wearing a coat, you know, with letters, with words painted on the back of it. I don't care. Do you? Something like that, you know? And I mean, like, if Trump is so vile, you can understand, you know, that he would like choose as a wife of somebody who's equally vile. Because I mean, for her to, like, you know, vile and clueless and beyond stupid. So, you know, what's happening between her and Ivanka, who cares? Okay, what else? Forbes, Zoom just gave free users frightening news. All right, now that's Forbes sensationalizing. Basically, Zoom has upped the security for paid users. I'm a paid user. You know, I pay $15 a month, and this is like, you know, I mean, for what I use it's well worth the cost. And so, like, they basically strengthened the encryption made it more secure. But I mean, for free users, it's like, you know, I think Forbes is just like, this is hyperbole. I don't think Zoom is any, you know, more risky to use than your email, than using the internet, using Chrome browser or Safari, whatever. So, all right. What else? CNN, state polls show clear shift toward Democrats since protests began. Okay, well, that's to be expected. You know, it's like, you know, and hopefully, you know, I don't trust the Democrats either really so much. I mean, like, I spent a year and a half working to get Obama a filibuster-proof Senate, you know, more than 60 Senate seats. So they, you know, the Republicans couldn't filibuster, and he just squandered that. You know, this was after the 2008 recession, and he should have just, like, you know, passed so many laws to disempower the Republican Party in so many ways. But I mean, the guy, he wanted to be liked. He was naive. You know, he thought, oh yeah, we're gonna come together as a country. I'm gonna work with the Republicans. Guess what? No, that Republicans don't work that way. And for him to have, you know, not understood that just demonstrates not just his naivety, but either the naivete or the disconcern, the indifference of the Democratic Party to a great extent. So, and why are we in this mess? Partly because of that, you know. All right, so The Guardian, British newspaper, Kentucky Confederate statue removal reveals evidence of Jim Crow past. Yeah, and to the, you know, that some army bases are named after Confederate generals. I mean, I don't think you name, you know, bases after defeated generals, especially generals who were, like, you know, defending as vile an institution as slavery. You know, I mean, what, you know, it's bewildering that it gone on as long as it has, and of course it's not bewildering that Trump would support keeping those there, because, like, anything that's wrong or bad, he's going to support. This guy's like Satan personified. The guy's, like, you know, beyond horrible. And I just saw a headline. Apparently he slipped, you know, while he was, you know, unsteady while walking this ramp at West Point. Well, yeah, I mean, like, you know, Some people, like, I'm very religious, I'm extremely religious, but I also believe that when somebody's doing a lot of harm to a lot of people and killing a lot of people, as Trump is, so many people have died needlessly because he's denied them health care, or with this coronavirus, that he hasn't taken the steps necessary. He still hasn't. So, like, if he were to, like, fall and die or something, that would be for the best. I would think that would be for the best. There's in Christianity, there's actually a kind of a custom, rule, law, whatever you want to call it, that that basically a lot of Christians, they'll pray for the death of an evil person. I forget the kind of a prayer it's called. It has a name in Christianity, at least in Catholicism. And I imagine it has similar counterparts in Judaism and Hinduism and all. It's basically appealing to God. Why did you bring us this guy? Get rid of him, take him however you want, get him out of here. So yeah. And you can't be, again, if somebody's being so horrible that people are dying because of that, you've got to have, you have to have compassion for the people who have died and the people who would die if this guy remained in office. So, and if you think it's wrong to, like, pray for the death of somebody like that, well, consider it's the lesser of two evils. It's evil to leave them in. It's more evil to leave them in and more people die than to, like, pray to God and God answers your prayer and the guy's out of here. So, all right. USA Today, kind of like a right-leaning national newspaper. It's been around for at least 30 years or so. In Seattle's Capitol Hill autonomous protest zone, some Black leaders expressed doubt about white allies. That is USA Today trying to divide the protesters. That USA Today is red, it's Republican. And they don't like the idea that white people and Black people and Asians, Hispanics are all coming together, middle class, upper class, lower class. This is a movement that has united people in a way that threatens USA Today, because, again, the way Republicans operate is divide and conquer, and it's worked a bit too well, for everybody's good, even their own. And so, I would imagine that this story is hyperbole. It's like exaggerating something. It's probably the exact opposite. It's probably that, like, the more accurate story could have been like that, white and Black leaders celebrate the coming together of so many people from so many backgrounds to express their absolute intolerance for this, police brutality to continue. Okay. The Independent, I think that's British. I don't know. It's not a tier 1 news organization, but all right. Trump blames slippery ramp, the one I just suggested at West Point I referred to, for trouble walking, while health experts issue coronavirus warning over Tulsa rally. All right, now the Tulsa rally, I don't know if it was supposed to, like, occur on Juneteenth, but I think he moved the date, so that hasn't even happened yet, so we'll have to see what that's about. Okay, NBC News. After NFL admission on protests, does Colin Kirkpatrick have a shot at playing it? I don't know. I mean, I'm not into sports. I'm sorry. You have to, like, watch CNN or ESPN, whatever, for that. I mean, it's not that I actually, no, I shouldn't say I'm not into sports. I mean, like, I go to the baseball game and, like, this is major stuff. I just, unfortunately, because, these guys, these athletes, they constantly amaze me. The basketball players, football players and stuff, just their agility, they do what they do so well. But I just, for whatever reason, I don't, watch them. Maybe if the tickets weren't all that expensive, I'd probably go more. I don't know. All right. World news. This is by Vox. Vox is a relatively new news source. I think it may be an online magazine. I'm not sure. I think it's basically middle of the road. All right. China sees 2-month high in confirmed cases of coronavirus. See, that doesn't bode well for us because, they were supposed to have contained their outbreak in the Wuhan province and all. I'm like, I'm trying to talk, say stuff, and it's not coming out. I'm gobbling up, messing up my words all the time. What can I tell you? All right, whatever. The Telegraph. The Telegraph, I think, is like, again, right-leaning. Boris Johnson potential to rise 2-meter social distancing rule. I don't know what that, so what? He's going to make it like 1 meter? When these headlines don't say enough, I'll just, yeah, whatever. All right. Another one, The Hill. The Hill is it's more, it tries very hard to be moderate, middle of the road. It's a political newspaper. It just deals with politics. You can get some pretty good authoritative information, but it also leans to the right a bit too much for my comfort. Boris Johnson decries racist thuggery after London protests become violent. Yeah, the racist thuggery is on behalf of Boris Johnson and his cronies. These people there, because Boris Johnson is the England's equivalent of Trump. These guys are vile. They're corrupt. They lie. So it's like, what is it? It's like, it's in psychology. There's a thing called projection. You can't face your own indiscretions, your own immorality, so you project them onto others. That's what that's what these guys do. So and in terms of the violence, our country was founded on violence. The Revolutionary War was not a peace fest. Neither was the Civil War. Sometimes, we try to do things peacefully and civilly, nonviolently. But when the police harass, protesters, when society harasses Black young kids, when things are so unjust, when people are allowed to become as rich as they want, while little kids don't get, enough food, enough education, enough clothing, and people don't care because the media doesn't care, because the Republican Party doesn't care, and a lot of Democrats don't care. Yeah, well, then that justifies the violence. If they want to have violent principles and policies, that end up killing people, you can't be too surprised when people begin defending themselves. Okay, Business Insider. It's a business organization, generally the stock market, business. They tend to be relatively reliable. I think they probably swing more to the right, because a lot of these organizations, when things are going well, yeah, they present a balanced view. But when, this confrontation between the haves and the have-nots happen, these quote unquote middle of the road, and this is the New York Times, Washington Post too, they should be doing so much more to support these protests and to support the ideals and the changes that these protests are trying to bring about. So they're not doing that. And so anyway, Trump responds to George Floyd protests, racism hurts U.S. foreign policy. I don't know. I see that headline. I don't know what to make of it. I don't know what it's saying. So and I'm not going to open the link to find out. All right. So then it's getting to I've got some. Let's see, business. I don't think I want to. Yeah, might as well, because it is important. All right. So Market Watch. Market Watch is another business oriented. They tend to be middle of the road. Fed's Kaplan worries economy's recovery may be slowed if coronavirus health practices remain uneven. Well, yeah, if you have these Republican states basically ignoring the guidelines, the CDC guidelines of distancing and, remaining closed until circumstances allow businesses to open, then yes, that's going to affect the economy. You know, that's going to affect the entire economy. If we try to open too soon, we'll pay a price economically. They don't get that. Okay. All right. Kudlow is Trump's. I don't know. He's somewhere in the Trump administration. I don't know. No one promised to name businesses that received PPP loans. PPP loans are these, you know, part of the stimulus package. Yeah, nobody promised to name them, but give me a break. I mean, like, to not name these businesses is fascist. You know, that's what fascist. That's what communism does. You know, like, they don't reveal stuff. It's all, you know. So yeah, you didn't promise, but I think, you know, there's an outcry. It's our money. You know, it's you know, we as a people. It's not their money. So we deserve to know where that money is going and to be assured that it's being distributed appropriately. Okay, CNN. Over 40,000 pounds of ground beef recalled due to E. coli concerns. All right, so let's get to, like, you know, an issue that's dear to me. Basically, you know, it's not just this coronavirus. It's like, as long as there are factory farms, as long as we farm animals, even like family farms, you know, farming chickens and pigs and cows and goats, and as long as we have that farming, we not only are at risk for future influenza pandemics like this coronavirus, but also future bacteria infections. E. coli is a bacteria. It infects our food and makes us sick, and it probably kills some of us. So this is an ongoing thing. 2-3 months ago, they had to kill, I think, about 30,000 chickens in South Carolina because of a bird flu outbreak. So this coronavirus is not an outlier. It's just, it happens like this all the time. We have been lucky. You know, it's kind of like playing Russian roulette. In other words, like, we allow these farming practices to happen, hoping we'll be lucky. Naturally, like when you're gambling, you know, the luck runs out. You know, the odds are against you. You know, eventually it's going to happen. And then, you know, Rahm Emanuel, this Democrat, he was on Stephanopoulos' Sunday show earlier, saying that this is the 100-year event. No, you know, again, the Democrats are like far from perfect. This is not a 100-year event. Anyone who follows the increase in incidences of these influenza, these bacteria-derived animal to human transmission viruses, you know, pandemics, contagious diseases, will tell you that they've been increasing so much decade after decade after decade, especially since the 80s. So this is probably a 1 in perhaps 10 or 20 year occurrence if we maintain the status quo. And that's why, so, and this, a 1 in 20 to 30 year event can happen, you know, like one can happen 1 year, another can happen 4 years. It just like evens out over decades, whatever. But you know, we have no assurance that, like, once we come out of this one, another one might, you know, wouldn't follow a year or two later. And that's, of course, why they should, like, pump billions of dollars into this lab-grown meat industry that just started in 2013, because that is the only way that we're going to be safe from future pandemics. So it's our choice. It's not really our choice because we don't have a free will, but, you know, what can I tell you? Okay, Bloomberg again. Millions of job losses are at risk of becoming permanent. Yeah, well, businesses are going out of business, you know. And this is, you know, like, again, I don't blame us because I don't believe we have a free will, but we are still held accountable by God, by nature. You know, if we want to continue to be just, you know, horribly cruel, indifferent in the way we treat animals, 60 billion, you know, mainly chickens, but chickens are sentient. They have, you know, very complex social lives. They feel pain, but it's also the cows and pigs. Pigs who are more intelligent than dogs are confined in these gestation crates. You know, that they're so small for months, they're confined in these crates. These crates are so small they can't even turn around for months at a time I mean, that's like sick. You know, we have become a sick species. I'm sorry. You know, just so completely immoral. You don't hear religions talk about this. You don't hear anybody talk about this. This is, so it's not just the Republican Party. You know, it's the Democratic Party. It's people in general. And fine, I don't blame us, but if we don't want to incur God's wrath, to incur the wrath of nature for how we are, we need to make major changes that go way beyond this, you know, reforming of the police, and to address the needs of not just people, of these animals that we, you know, everybody, even, you know, those of us who are discriminated against in this society, we all are complicit in this, you know, severe abuse of the animals. Okay, technology. Okay, so we've got about like 2 minutes left, and I got to head out. I haven't been out yet today. AT&T apparently wants to offload Warner Brothers Interactive, one of gaming's biggest publishers. Well, I'm going to focus on the, you know, it's gaming. It's like, you know, I guess it's video games. So, you know, we've got a very violent society, as reflected in how the media, how the police treat people. And, you know, an irony is like you know, our country values freedom, you know. Freedom of speech is so important to us, but freedom of speech is killing us. Freedom of speech is killing our soul. In other words, like, there are laws, there are like racist, you can't say anybody, you can't, you know, use a racist slur against someone. You can't, there's a lot of things that you can't say. It's against the law. What people don't realize is a lot of these video games, a lot of these movies, a lot of these programs that glorify violence, that basically make people desensitized to what violence is and what it does. You know, these are the corporations, they, you know, and again, this is both a right and left wing thing, because like the left wingers, the Democrats are all for free speech, and they just like, they're clueless about the harm it causes. All right, so we're under a minute, so that's all we have time for with the headlines. And, you know, I don't know if I'll do this every day, but I'll just decide when I do, whatever. Hope you guys are having a good day. So again, watch this every Monday through Friday on White Plains Community Media Channel 76 Optimum, 45 Verizon, at 5 p.m. Okay, and catch the episodes. I'm making progress in uploading them all to YouTube. I've got about another 20 go, because this is episode number 46. So I think I've uploaded about up to episode number 26 to YouTube. But I'm going to try to get that done, like, you know, over the next several days or so. All right. So again, I hope you're having a great Sunday, and I'll see you again tomorrow.